Heather, thank you so much for a $25 donation for AFSP. Guys, we're at 175. I only set the goal for 250. I really didn't know how much I was going to raise. I'll move the goal line if we hit the goal, though. So we don't have to worry about that. But I really do appreciate everybody throwing donations in there. And you know, helping to give hope to other people, who may have reached the very border of despair, you know, who may have reached a point where they don't feel like they have anything left to live for and they don't have anything left to offer. And you know, donations like these go to help offer people support and resources and everything. You know, and that's why I like doing stuff like this too, because you know, if me sitting here talking, if one person ever, and I really very sincerely mean this, if one person ever, and I mean ever, is in crisis and is thinking, I don't have anything to live for, I don't care, I don't want to live anymore, or anything like that, I want them to know that they have support out there, that there are people who care about them, that they do have support, and that, you know, they are not alone no matter what. Because I've been there, and I know that a lot of people have been there, where they've either contemplated suicide, attempted suicide, or at the very least just gave up, kind of had a hopelessness to them and a despair and just didn't want to live anymore. If one single person ever tunes into something that I do, listens to my show, watches me do these streams, whether it be this or another stream, my content over on YouTube or whatever, and decides that they have, that gives them a reason to live, that gives them a reason to believe, that gives them a reason to hope that things can get better, then it's worth it. Then every single minute of it is worth it, no matter what. Because, you know, it was leaning on, and I mean, I know she has a migraine, and I don't want her to spend too much time looking at a bright screen, because I'm sure that's wreaking havoc on her migraine. Heather, I'm so sorry. I hope you feel better soon. But it was people like Heather that brought me through when I was in despair, when it was 2017, 2018, 2019, and I didn't want to live anymore. And I literally felt like I had no reason to live at all. You know, I wanted to quit. I wanted to give up. I started eating myself to death. I never attempted suicide. I never got to that point, but I ate with reckless abandon 7,000, 8,000, 10,000 calories a day. Junk food, just bags and bags, family-sized bags of candy and junk and all sorts of stuff, because I didn't want to live anymore. I was so miserable. I felt so unhappy, and I felt like I had nowhere to go. I had nothing to do. I was never going to get out of this. And it was leaning on people like Heather, you know, who, you know, did a show called Sunshine and Power Cuts, where she, you know, talked about finding your worth, discovering your worth, getting outside and connecting with nature, remembering how amazing you are, thinking about how amazing, how good you are, how much you have to offer the world, how beautiful and how amazing we all are, and how beautiful and amazing everything out there in the world is. Like, I love just having this on the thing behind me. This is like a mile from my house. This right here, this is at Cornell. And you know, and I think now, like, I reflect back on those times. I reflect back on those times and the hopelessness and the despair that I felt, and how empty and how alone I felt all the time. And it was because of people like Heather that I made it through, because of listening to her show endlessly on repeat, like the 7 Days of Sunshine challenge. The 7 Days of Sunshine was repeatedly, over and over and over again. Listened to it on repeat over and over and over again. Went outside at work when I was at work. I went outside on my breaks and I walked around the parking lot and I let the sun hit me and I listened to what she said and I breathed, took deep breaths, and just tried to focus on the good things in my life. It didn't solve any of the problems that I was having. Okay. It didn't it didn't make it so any of the problems that I had suddenly disappeared. Okay. But it did make me realize that there was something worth fighting for. There was something worth living for. There was something worth doing. There was something worth being. You know, and that started to shift me into a better mindset. And it shifted me out of that mindset of, I don't want to be here anymore. And it shifted me into a mindset of, I've got a tough road ahead. I've got a lot of tough things that I've got to deal with, but I'm grateful to be alive. You know, and I know I've talked about this on the show as well before, but it was my friend John dying. He was 39 years old when he died, and he was only about a year older than me at the time. And I was turning 39 later that year. I was well over 400 pounds at that point. I was a planet of a man, you know, because of how little care I was taking of myself. And he went into the ground, and that was kind of the event, really. And like, it was things, like I said, like, especially in 2017, 2018, like I tell Heather this all the time, whenever she's on for live stream for The Cure, or whenever I have opportunity, she saved my life. She did. Because if I hadn't had that resource, if I hadn't had somebody out there, and she wasn't talking to me, she was just putting that energy out there into the world, because she wanted somebody to hear it, and somebody to hear it and to know that they have value, and to find positivity and goodness and light and sun and warmth in nature, and connect with the beautiful things in the world and in life around us. And it was because of all of that I'm still here. You know, when John died, that was kind of my snap to be like, Nick, you've still got so much to live for. So I committed to drop the sugar. And I was working in the office at that point. That was before the pandemic. So I was going to the gym at my office every single day after work. I'd work overtime most of the time. And then I'd get right down into the basement there at work, and I would work out for an hour at least every time, you know? And, you know, then, you know, you get to like September or whatever, and my marriage falls apart, you know? And I won't pretend like I'm not still dealing with a lot of different things from that, you know, especially it's always been one of the most nagging things in here in my head, that I'm not good enough for people, that I'm not good enough for anybody. You know, and that only kind of just like magnified that like intensely. But it was a very toxic marriage, and it was just full of nothing but negativity and everything. It was a very, very good thing for me that it ended, because it meant that I got to start my life kind of anew. And in the wave of that kind of transformation of my life, I was like, I can do one of two things. I can wallow. I can sink back to this point, to this place that I was at in 2017, 2018, where I felt like I had nothing to live for, and I just didn't want to be here anymore, didn't want to live anymore. Or I could dedicate myself to trying to make the world a better place in whatever microscopic corner of the world that I can touch. If I can make the world somehow better in some way, then I wanted to do it. So that's why I focus nowadays on positivity, on positive energy, on trying to make the world a better place, trying to make your life better. If you're somebody who's watching this, or if you're somebody who's listening to this, all I want to do is to make your life better. And I know it's a cheesy catchphrase for the show, but like, I talk about wanting to make your life better one dish at a time. And that's what I do when I cook too. Like, when I put food in front of somebody, it's a very personal thing for me. If I've spent so much time working on it, it's a very personal thing for me, because I'm giving you a piece of me, you know? And be it the positivity segments, be it the food segments, be it whatever it is about Nikolai's Kitchen that makes your life better, or whatever it is. Maybe you're not even in Nikolai's Kitchen. Maybe you don't even care about the content I make. Maybe you just care about me. Maybe you're just here for me. But I approach it from the same, I approach my life from that direction, no matter what it is. No, that's always the way that I approach life. I want to make your life better in some way or another. Whoever you are, whenever you're listening to this, wherever you're listening to this, all I want to do is make your life better in some way. In some way. This isn't going to solve all of your problems. Listening to this show right now, whatever, when you're listening to this, you're watching it as whatever it is, it's not going to solve all of your problems right now. It's not going to make all of them go away. But if it gets you to remember to close your eyes, and just take a couple of deep breaths and just realize the value that you have to this world. Realize the good that you can do in this world. Realize the lives that you touch, the lives that you make better just by existing, just by being who you are. Like, I mean that very seriously. Like, take a moment right now. Take a moment right now and think about one person, 2 people, 5 people, 10 people, however many people it is. Because somebody out there, somebody's life is better because you're here. Somebody's life is better because of who you are and because of what you give to them, because of how much you love them. Just take a few moments. Take a couple, whatever it is, even if it's a fleeting moment today, right now. Think about that person and smile, because you make a good, positive difference in this world. And when you have so many different things happening in your life, when your life is beset by negativity, when you're struggling, when there are a lot of tough things that you're working through, when there are a lot of tough things that you're going through, it's remembering all of the other good things that are happening in your life. It's not despairing and thinking that you don't have anything to live for. I talked last time on the show, or last week, or whenever the show was published in relation to this, but I talked about living versus surviving. Are you living, or are you just surviving day to day? Are you just doing whatever you have to do to scrape your way through one day or another? And if you have to just survive, it's okay. It's okay. Because some of us, we all got to do it some days. Some days are challenging. Life is challenging. Life is hard. Life will throw so much at you. It's okay. But live. Really, really try to live every day. Focus on some good thing. Focus on just trying to do one good thing in a day. Focus on a day. Like, think positively toward a day. And when you change your mindset, when you really focus on a positive mindset, on not just being negative about everything and complaining about everything and attacking people and doing all these different negative things. When you approach life with a positive mindset, when you approach life with positivity in mind, it's amazing exactly what you're able to do. And it amazes you. Like, it'll open and kind of expand your mind and show you what you're truly capable of. And it'll really, really help you to get at the root of all of the other things that you've got going on too. You know? And I talk to friends of mine, and I talk to different people that I know intermittently, and it always breaks my heart when you know, friends of mine will tell me that they're a failure, or they feel like a failure because some aspect of their life has fallen apart. And you're not a failure. Failing does not make you a failure. Letting failure define you is something you should never do, because you are more than that time that you failed. You're more than whatever. I don't know. I'm losing the plot here, but you know, it just, you know, I talked to a friend of mine recently who had talked about the very thing that I'm raising money for tonight. Like, you know, my friend had said that, you know, they've been struggling so much and everything has been so hard that they didn't want to live anymore. You know, and I've kind of taken it upon myself to just check in with them a little bit more frequently, and you know, to let them know, to make sure that I let them know that they're loved, that they're important, that they matter to me, and that they matter to this world. And that's something, like, no matter what, you've got time to play a game on your phone, you've got time to do XYZ, whatever it is during a day, you've got time for that. You've got time to check in with people. You've got time to check in and say, I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you exist, and you make such a good, positive difference in my life. Thank you. Thank you so much for being a part of my life. It means the world to me. All of you watching, all of you listening, wherever, whenever, you are the whole entire world to me, and I am so grateful for each and every one of you. Just, you mean the world to me. Thank you so much.